officially launches on February 22nd, and early adopters that pre-ordered a special bundle will receive theirs any day now.
Now, whenever a new piece of hardware arrives, people get all woo crazy and impulsive. So take a deep breath. We're going to tell you what we think about the Vita, and if you need to act all woo and crazy.
And if you were wondering what Morgan's holding in her hand, that is a Vita. We do have one.
Yes,
we know
do.
you're jealous.
Yes.
All right, so let's break down the nuts and bolts. Yes, this device does look a heck of a lot like the old PSP. It is very, very different.
Yeah, so first and foremost, the screen. This is a 5-inch OLED display capable of displaying a staggering number of colors.
Like what, 256?
More like 16 million.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
More like 16 million.
Close.
A lot more. Not only does the OLED screen look really nice, as OLED screens do look,
Yes.
but it also supports multi-touch.
And so does the other side of the Vita. This is the cool part.
what's
The back of it is actually a giant touchpad. It opens up a
changer.
lot of interesting opportunities in terms of gameplay.
Yes.
Because there is no R3, L3. It can happen back there as well as many other buttons.
All right, so besides the touchscreens, you've got another control option. The Vita is capable of 6-axis motion controls.
I know what you're thinking. Hey, we want more. We're greedy. That's not enough innovation. How about a front and a rear-facing camera? Now, we do have to say they are not the best in the world. As a matter of fact, they're not even really the middle of the world. You're only getting a little bit of clarity, but it is enough to play the games that you want to play and to take on-the-fly pictures.
But most important of all, the Vita has 2 analog sticks.
Well done. Well done, Sony. Well done.
You will no longer have to play games like Monster Hunter with your finger in a weird claw-like position.
Also, no more UMDs.
Aww.
Yeah, so those ugly discs are gone forever. But that's not so great if you have a bunch. There is no backwards compatibility here.
Fortunately, I only had like 4, so it's cool.
Well, games are going to come in a new format, as you can see right here. It's a proprietary cartridge, basically like a lot of the 3DS titles. So very tiny.
Yes.
You're definitely going to lose them, so buy multiple copies of each game, but it does look a lot cooler than a UMD.
I like it. You can slip a bunch in a small container
Yeah.
versus the UMD containers, which were quite large.
Now, you might be asking yourself, what about the hard drive? What kind of storage does the Vita have?
Uh-oh. Honesty time, guys.
All right, there is no internal storage. Even worse, this device does not use memory sticks, SD cards, or any technology that you actually already own. That's because you're going to be forced to buy new proprietary memory cards from Sony.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
Whole people.
Sony makes
Yes.
proprietary memory cards already,
They
right?
do. Memory stick is a proprietary Sony memory card, but that's not good enough.
I'm confuddled, and they're also not cheap. The
No.
smallest one you're going to get is a 4-gig card for $20, and in a world where you already have 1,000 memory cards lying around, that
Yep.
is not acceptable. And if you plan on downloading a bunch of games and need a 32-gig card, it's $100.
By the way, these things are also incredibly small, as in fingernail
Yeah.
small. Unfortunately, there's no opting out of this memory card situation. You're going to need one if you want to save your game. And some titles require installs, so you're going to have to buy one.
I think the other thing is, just to reiterate, it does not come with the Vita. If you don't get that memory stick, you will
Right.
get your Vita and not be able to play games.
Right.
So you just be very mindful of that.
I have no doubt stores will have them bundled on the same display for you.
Now, we were heavily negative there towards the end, but I think overall impressions, we all agree this is actually a pretty cool piece of hardware.
I thought by this point I would be somewhat inured to, oh wow, what a cool piece of tech. Just as tech, I'm impressed with it. In addition, because it has 2 analog sticks, these games play like games and not having to unlearn contemporary game design from the past decade. No, you sit down, you play, Uncharted like you play Uncharted. It really is something of a revelation.
Now, you can also, in Uncharted, for example, swipe. So something that I found cool about it was that if there was a gun that I wanted, I just tapped the gun, and then I would get it. Some other things where you just tap the ledge to go there, I feel like that's cheating. A little
Really?
bit.
They're just making it easier for people that are playing on buses. Well, the big question is this, and this is something we've had a lot of conversations about at the office, with smartphones and the iPads being so prevalent now in today's society, is this the handheld gaming console that will take you away from playing games just on the smartphones? My answer is, I think yes. I did not buy the 3DS, but this is something I would buy to actually use as a gaming device.
I think the issue really is more the portability. There's nothing wrong with this, and I'm actually excited about the games. It's large. I have a phone in my pocket. Bugle Boy has not come back into fashion yet with all the necessary. It is something to lug around. And another thing we need to point out is the battery life is not that long. And actually, it's not like you're going to be taking the Vita with you. You're going to be taking the Vita and the charger with you, because at best you're going to get 5 hours of gaming out of this.
Right. And one of the things that I know we complained about the most on the 3DS too was the launch lineup. This launch lineup's actually pretty solid. As we mentioned before, Uncharted is basically a console game. Morgan and I got our hands on Little Deviants yesterday. These types of minigames are usually packaged with hardware.
Yeah.
They're throwaway titles usually. This is a legitimate game right here, you guys. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff on here. I think the launch lineup is actually pretty solid.
I think the one thing that I'm hoping that Sony will do is that they will help distinguish the Vita from the PS3, that you don't have too many resistances and Uncharted, that they make it its own system, they can find a new market, because that's the easy crutch for them.
Yeah, I actually would really like to see those big, those big titles onto the Vita, because, you're traveling, you're in a hotel room, you don't have your console, and this could almost be like a little console that you take with you, and so I don't necessarily need to press on the back the whole time, but I would like to play Skyrim on it.
Yes, that would be fun.
Yes.
Right. If you want to buy a Vita, you got two options here. You got the plain old Vita with Wi-Fi for $250, and for $300, you get one with Wi-Fi and 3G, but you'll have to pay AT&T for the wireless service, but it is in the contract.
There's no contract.
That's nice.
Here's the rub, you guys.
Oh, what is it?
It's going to cost you $15 for 250 megabytes of usage.
We actually talk about megabytes these days?
Yeah.
Stuff comes in megabytes still, and $30 for 3 gigs. So
And it's
take
AT&T.
that into and it's AT&T. So take that into consideration when you're sitting there being like, do I need the 3G version?
And if you're buying the 3G version, based on the pricing scheme, basically you get like quadruple the amount of download capabilities for twice the price. So go with the 3 gig option, because 256 will get you absolutely nothing at all.
2 weeks later.
Gaming on the go just got better thanks to the PlayStation Vita. With a 5-inch OLED touchscreen, games will look more vibrant than ever. And there are more ways to control those games too, thanks to built-in motion sensors, dual analog sticks, and a multi-touch pad built right onto the back. Toss in Wi-Fi and optional 3G, and you have a gaming system that is built to go. And all starting at $249.
Hey, America, it's Matt Myra!
So much gaming!
Look at that! Your hands are full with cutting-edge technology and gaming.
I keep dying, you guys.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll let the world see your Uncharted skills. But video game console manufacturers, they want to stay relevant in this world of portable gaming, smartphones, and tablets. This is Sony's latest attempt, the PS Vita. It promises to be the most advanced portable game system ever conceived. And here it is.
Yes.
Ooh.
Very fingerprinting, but it's there.
Very smudgy. It doesn't look all that different from the PSP, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's just like a bigger PSP as
Got
far
it.
as size is concerned. So if you have a PSP at home, you're going to be pretty familiar with the size. It weighs just under 10 ounces, so it doesn't feel too heavy, which is nice. It felt comfortable in the hands. I played it for a while. Dual analog sticks on either side. That right there you're seeing is the back multi-touchpad.
Oh, get out of town.
You can touch it, and then I believe the first achievement you unlock is touching some rear.
Oh.
Thanks, Japan.
Thank you very much, yeah.
And it's got the gorgeous 5-inch OLED screen right on top there.
Yeah, it is a nice screen. The resolution's 960 by 544, so in the world of Retina displays and Super AMOLED screens, that might not seem all that high.
Right.
But I was impressed. Like, it looks really nice.
I was genuinely impressed, too. The screen size is perfect. You're really immersed in the experience because you're holding it 4 inches from your face, or at least I was. Am I using it right?
Right.
The colors
You're resting it on the bridge of your nose, right? I mean, that's how everybody's playing this thing.
Colors are vivid and accurate, and the touchscreen was actually genuinely very responsive. But that's not to say it's not without its design flaws. For instance, the speakers are directly under your thumbs. If you can see the grill right there.
Yeah.
You put your thumbs here to do things, and the speakers are right there.
To do things like muffle the noise.
Yeah. It's called the Sound Muffler Plus. It's available in all the models.
Oh, that's cool.
It is.
Also,
that's
flimsy doors on a lot of things. Like
there are flimsy doors for the games. There are flimsy doors for the memory card. I liked these little see-through acrylic buttons for the
shoulder
trigger buttons.
Yeah, nice, aesthetically pleasing.
That was a nice touch.
I know that it's not the main selling point of the device, but I was surprised that both cameras are VGA, front and back. They're not high-def cameras.
They are.
And there's no flash.
Yeah, there's no flash. The VGA cameras aren't great at all. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to get this, take it around, take some cool shots. I mean, we'll vaguely know what you're looking at, but the quality's not.
Oh, is that
gonna
like
be
an
very
Instagram
good.
thing where you make it all grainy?
No, it's just a crappy camera.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Okay.
It comes with a lot of hidden costs too, which we should point point out. The biggest being the memory stick,
Yep.
which is required to play most of the games in the launch lineup.
Yeah. The system runs $249 for Wi-Fi only. They decided it'd be a great idea to make a proprietary tiny memory stick.
Wait, Sony did this?
No, yeah.
The pioneers of Betamax
Yeah.
and memory stick?
You know, proprietary. It might as well be called Sony-tary.
Yeah.
That's not really a word. They're charging you more money for this.
It's not a word. It's just a terrible business practice.
Honestly, you think you're going to get the game, you're going to play immediately, and then it's like memory card required.
Yeah.
So you have to go buy a proprietary Sony card. A 32 gig is what, $100?
$100.
Yeah.
Which, to put this in perspective, I tweeted out I thought that was a little BS, a lot BS, and people said, well, it's Sony, that's what they do. But you can get a 64 gig memory card that's a Class 10 memory card, one of the fastest SD cards they make for half the price.
Yeah.
So they want you to pay twice as much for half the storage.
Why
it's a
not?
little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, and the memory card slot is right next to the proprietary USB port.
Ah, yes.
Because, listen, you need cables that are just Sony in your house. I mean, Apple does it with the docking port.
Yeah, a lot of people do. And I don't agree with the business practice. I get
know.
that a lot of people do. But at least when certain companies do it, you can only plug the cord in one way.
Yeah.
When Sony does it, you can actually plug it in upside down.
And
it'll totally lock in. It just won't charge a damn thing.
The games that come with it are in these. This is the game.
This is Environmental Destroyer 2? Is that what this game is? This is Floating Trash Island Vita Edition.
This is the, hey, I want to feel like a giant watching a Blu-ray. Get me the Blu-ray. Oh,
No, Matt, don't destroy the next-gen format.
Okay, listen.
Okay, so hidden costs aside, it is a very, very powerful device.
It is. It certainly is. You're getting 2 quad-core processors in here, which is fantastic. It's the closest thing to console gaming I've ever held in my hands.
Yeah.
Like, that's the gaming right there. I'm doing pretty good. I haven't quite died yet. Give it a minute, and I'll probably jump off a cliff. And they managed to do this while maintaining a pretty decent battery life. I was getting like 4 hours of straight gameplay.
And that was, you probably had Bluetooth and
Yeah.
Wi-Fi on as well.
Yeah,
and the speakers, right?
The speakers there. I didn't plug in headphones. I wanted muffled sound.
You wanted the whole. You wanted to sound like Drake's Underwater.
Yeah.
This also runs a new Sony software, of
Yeah.
course. It uses the touchscreen and the physical controls to actually navigate around.
Yeah, I mean, the software is good. It's very smooth. It's very intuitive.
Yeah.
But you're looking at the background tasks, they'll stay out of the way. That's fine. It's really fast. It's intuitive. And if you look at the software right here, these are the icons they went with.
That's a bummer.
It's a weird
You
sort
have
of like, hey, look at these round, weird icons. They're doing just enough not to get sued by Apple
Right.
and Samsung.
And their graphic designers are doing just enough to get the paycheck. Because, I mean, you have this gorgeous high-def display, this very powerful device, and the icons are all very, like, just ugly colors on an awkward background.
Yeah, it was like your grandmother ordered a tablet from the Home Shopping Network.
Exactly.
And you're like, what is this software? This isn't anything I'm familiar with.
I expect that on the knockoff PS Vita that I'm going to get in Chinatown.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it sounds great. So let's talk about the gaming. That's what matters here. It's cool that it's got a bunch of other functions like a browser that can't play Flash or YouTube videos. Not griping. But the gaming, you played with it over the weekend. What are your thoughts?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. The launch library is very extensive. You get like 26 games at launch. Games incorporate every method that you can interact with this thing, which is to say a lot. You have the front touch screen, you have the back touch panel, you have the buttons themselves. It really is interesting. So like in Uncharted, you can climb a rope. And to do
Get
that,
out of here.
yeah, you can climb. That's the melee. Like you have to stop using the analog sticks and just go into touching the screen. You can turn this off, and if you do turn it off, you'll probably have a better experience playing it because this is really stuttery.
But how else will I make my charcoal etchings of like ancient Mayan symbols?
You do a lot of etchings in this
It's
game.
a whole lot of etching.
It's just that you just
It's
do
just
this. You're sitting there doing this. There's part of the
While
game.
the character makes awkward rubbing comments.
There's part of the game where you have to hold the map up to a light to get the ink to shine through. And I literally was like, how do I control this? And then I was like, maybe I actually have to hold this to a light. And I did.
Oh, no.
And I'm like sitting
Don't
there.
you feel filthy?
I have like this mantle with these lights next to the fireplace, and I'm like holding it, and my girlfriend's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm playing a video game.
I'm leveling up. You be quiet.
Just watch out.
It's next generation.
I'm so powerful, you guys.
All right, Sony is selling the Wi-Fi PS Vita for $249. If you want a game, you're going to have to probably get a memory card as well, which brings the total up to about $320.
Yeah.
At that price, what are we rating it?
I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Now, $249. It seems pricey. With the added cost, you're at like $320. But this is literally the closest thing to a console gaming experience you can hold in your hand. The incorporation of multi-touch and the cameras and the light sensor into the gameplay is something I really look forward to seeing them develop over time.
Yeah,
it's
I'll agree with
early
that.
to give it a review.
I think it is early, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, so 4 out of 5 is probably right for the hardware,
Yeah.
but I've been telling people, like, hey, listen, I still haven't had the experience on it, though, to me, that says this is something worth spending $350 on, roughly.
Yeah.
So I say wait and see, but I think you're absolutely right about the hardware.
Yeah, if you commute and you want something else to play awesome games on, go for it. But, maybe wait a little bit.
All right. Matt Meyer, everybody, thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure.
We did it!
Have you been multi-touching?
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks.